Hello guys, LukeJ speaking. Welcome to Book Reviews, episode number 33. Today we do the chapter 11 of Priceless Memories by Bob Barker. So let's read it down, shall we? So we got for us. We're going to have time for paper shred while I'm reading this book, so here we go on that. Let's read it to you now. Chapter 11. The Beauty Pageants and the Fur Flap. There was a tremendous amount of overhead heard publicly surrounding my departure from the Miss USA and the Miss Universe beauty pageants, okay? But I consider my 21-year association with the pageants to have been an extremely positive relationship and hosting those events with a definitely something I enjoyed immensely, something like that. In the end, because of the clash between the fur coats and my passion for animal rights, it was impossible for me to continue with the shows. Okay. However, I would not want that cast a shell over many years of fun to success we have working on those passions. Makes sense in any way. Next page. Anyway, so how many pages we got so far in this book? With this small thing. We almost made the 200 page in that part. Anyway. I'm gonna make it 200 page too. Anyway, both passions were broadcast from Miami Beach for the first 10 years. Wow, okay. Later on, we have invitations from cities all over the United States, from Miss USA, and from all over the world for the Miss Universe, okay? We went for El Salvador, Singapore, Australia, wow, okay. Puerto Rico, Hong Kong, Mexico, and other countries with Miss Universe. We did Miss USA in New York, Buffalo, Miami, Biloxi, and other cities in continental United States, as well as Puerto Rico. Okay. Unfortunately, Dorothy Joe and I did not always have an opportunity to explore all these fascinating places. John Cries and I'll tell you more about John later. Okay, makes more sense anyway, Bob. We're finally tied up with details of the pageants, okay? And I'm still doing Price is Right, I think for a while, True for Consequences, okay? As well. Sometimes as we all have to fly and then fly out after the show, okay? But other times we were all able to explore some memorable locations, okay? I'll never forget the 1973 Miss Universe show we did in Greece and the magic origin of Harlan's. Okay, Alex, I'm going to now say anyway. Which stands at the in front of the how do you pronounce it? Sorry. As Warwicks of Athens, something like that. It was a thrill to be there in the midst of all the history. The fear goes back in the days of Stoics, okay? The show was live, like all of them, as in the evening under the stars. Many people thought it was the most beautiful we ever did. Beautiful show we ever did. Excuse me, folks. Anyway, they might be right. They may be right. Excuse me. Anyway, I'll never forget. The Miss Universe pageants were, as you may imagine, truly international events. Okay. We have just impersonators giving stage directions in several languages. We have to search high and search low for people who could translate our questions and answers for the contestants from all over the planet, okay? The language barriers were always challenges in producing the shows from these exotic locations, okay? These were other challenges as well. In 1972, when we were doing Miss USA pageant down in Puerto Rico, okay, almost 30 miles from the San Juan, Rogers Lake Common the Grants for you. Rest in peace to you, anyway. At the Hotel Carmet, near the town of Doreo. Wow, okay. We were headquartered in the big vacation hotel with lovely activities, okay? Couple of pools and a gorgeous golf course. There were many tourists vacation in the hotel. However, there was always also a group of anti-Americans protesting daily outside the hotel. They should. They shout, excuse me, anyway. Grinjo, go home. Wow, okay. Another unprintable angry comments. Wow. Okay. The night of the passion, I was hosting this show at Live Again. Wow. We're rolling along. I was beginning exactly what part of the show I was in, okay? But there was a huge explosion. Jeez. Anyway, stage rock and the audience absolutely disturbed. Jeez. Anyway, but I just ignored it and keep moving through the show. And I didn't know what the explosion was. And naturally, I was curious. Wow, okay. But I finished the segment, okay. When we went on the commercial break, Charles Andrews, the producer of the show, didn't want me to be upset. Thank you. So he said, don't worry about the explosion. It was just a refrigerator that blew up in the kitchen. Just then, another explosion rocked the stage, okay? I did not want to receive comedy. Charlie, we're going to have to go out to eat because we're goes a freezer. Yeez. Anyway, the group of protesters had set up 2 bombs. Wow, okay. The first bomb exploded in the parking lot near our control truck, which was a technical and directional center of the show. Like the booth in the studio, it was a truck that our director and top technicians were making decisions initial in the production of the show. Occasionally, this anti-American group knew the importance of the truck, and they were attempting to knock the show off the next page. Anyway, air. Wow. Okay, by blowing it up. Wow. And possibly the director and the technicians with it. Jeez. Anyway, the second bomb was a set off at the 5th floor of the hotel kilometer. Wow. It was a story 3 rooms. Wow. It blew furniture off a balcony hundreds of feet towards the beach. Wow. The explosion itself and flying debris could easily have killed someone. It was a miracle that not one person was hurt by either explosion. A few months later, we had to return to the commercial hotel in Doreo to broadcast the Miss Universe pageant. Wow, okay. Despite the fact that we have contracted with the government of Puerto Rico, made friends and all the wives, okay? Wow. We're telling us to forget these. Anyway, no show was worth it. But we had decided to risk it under carefully controlled circumstances. Excuse me. Okay. Um, this time security was everywhere. Wow. Ow! Something wrong with my stomach. Okay. I would never fly into St. John Airport, and a small plane took me from St. John out of the hotel. I fell at it, fell as I were in the middle of World War II movie. Wow. Okay. There were spotlights from the ground of the airplane, lights around the hotel, and armed guards everywhere. There were no torturers out of the hotel, or only hotel employees and people involved in this pageant. Wow. They would have the public enforcement on every floor, and uniformed soldiers surrounded the hotel. The government of Puerto Rico wanted to make sure we weren't blown up with the watch. No watch. Makes sense anyway. We were stuck in the hotel for 6 days. We went there in the same dining room every night, and the contestants and folks working on the pageant were on the only ones there. Wow. Okay. The hotel put on the floor show every night to entertain us. A phenomenal dancer. We watch that same guy every night. If I never see another familiar dancer again, it'll be too soon. Wow. After there and the dancer, we were bored. Wow. Everyone, including me, gambled every night. One of my few experiences was gambling. Yes, I lost money. Wow. Oh man. Anyway, thanks to the security, nothing happened. We did a show, and we got all of the safety. No matter where we were located, the passion shows were always broadcast live. I was impressed by the ability of the pressure of the live television. Young women were passionate contestants to handle the pressure of live television. I missed one line space. Sorry. Anyway, they were the most part calm and collected. It was a pleasure to work with such enthusiastic young ladies. There's a misconception that the young ladies in these pageants are not part of the degree intelligent. My experience over the course of 20 years is completely contrary to the notion. Wow. Eventually, something like that, in a group of young people, you're going to have some who are brighter than others. But all in all, excuse me. Sorry. Anyway, the contestants were extremely sharp and savvy. Wow. In addition to being talented and extractive, by the time they have to reach the level of Miss USA, Miss Universe, they have to have won several other passions. Okay, but they have to learn quite a bit. Okay, most people were surprised at the level of poise and materiality these young women possess, something like that. Despite all the happy memories, I eventually left the pageants and because of what caused to be known as a fur flap. as I mentioned in the chapter in the title section of my main channel. But anyway, wow. Okay. On the one hand, excuse me, okay, anyway, it was kind of sudden and unexpected, but in retrospect, it was also a natural conclusion of a series of events that led up to it. My passion for animal rights was a process of growing awareness for me. I wasn't always aware of or involved. I will be the first to admit it. In the 1960s, on the other hand, I gave Darby Joy a couple of furs as presents. She stopped wearing them, and she stopped. Next page. Anyway. Wearing leather jackets. Okay? Without criticizing me or anyone else, she quietly influenced me by example. After doing some promotional work for the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, Los Angeles, SPCA LA for short. In 1979, I was asked to honorary chairman of Be Kind to Animals Week in Los Angeles, BKAWLA for short, something like that. That's what all stands for, but anyway. I accepted, and as a result, I did interviews on radio, television, and with newspapers, okay? This led to invitations from animals or organizations, something like that, or their groups to participate in their activities, okay? I have contributed famously to animal organizations prior to that, okay? And I have never become involved in their work. But I decided to give it a try, as I did, something like that, excuse me, okay, anyway. I began to, for the first time, to really become aware of the terrible exploitation. Wow. Okay, then. Cruelty, something like that. And mistreatment animals suffer in our country. Wow. Or in in the world, for that matter. Planet that means. Anyway, as my awareness grew, I began making changes in my life. Darby Joe suggested that I became a veterinarian in 1980. Wow. I learned about the terrible things that happen in this life of houses. Wow. And I decided to cut out red meat. Then later I learned more about fishing, the treatment of pot poorly. Wow. Pottery, something like that. I don't know. How about that's this word? Okay. Anyway, stop it. So it'll take me a while to take it. Anyway, stop it. Anyway, move on. And I stopped eating chicken and fish. Wow. Okay. This will take me a while to stop scratching. Sorry about that, everyone. This is taking seriously on my itch and scratching, but moving on. Anyway, originally, I did all the concerns for animals. Wow. Okay. But I can also see why people become veterinarians for health reasons. Okay. My energy level rose sharply. Wow. Okay. My weight has never been an issue, but I felt better immediately. I do not think I ever would have been able to work as long as I did, as I have become a veterinarian. Wow, okay. So it was about 7 years prior to my birth flap, which came to be during the Miss USA pageant in 1987. Wow, okay. Something went wrong with my itches. Sorry about that. But anyway. I have become increasingly have an active, outspoken on animal rights issues. Wow, okay. Um, as I learn more about the on this excuse me, okay, exploitations of animals, I have compelled to do what I could to change the situation. Wow. Looking back at that, say progression of events lead up to the passion controversy. Wow. I was fired for 2 radio shows for speaking out once against the laboratory research on animals. In the early 1980s, I convinced the producers of The Price is Right to stop giving furs away as prizes. Wow. I also resigned as host of American Humane Association's Patsy Awards shows because which honors animals, actors, and their trainers. When I learned that some trainers best animals in ability to make them perform. Exactly. Anyway, animal exploitations come in many forms, and the more I learned, the more appealed I was by the practices of the fur industry, the idea of slaughtering millions of animals for leisure coats, which are worn slightly to show off wealth. Wearing furs is a reprehensible, something like that, excuse me, okay, right. Method of displaying influence. I always said there are better ways. Diamonds, reach watches, and automobiles are a few examples. There is no way to make a fur coat without causing pain of God's creatures. If you really want to impress people with how much money you have, buy a cloth coat and hang bills on it. The more money you have, the bigger bills you should use. It was not just a killing of the animals to make a leisure garment, but it was also cruelly and menacingly involved. First, there are steel leg traps. The animals have their legs staggered in their traps. Their bones are broken. Wow. Like mine back in 2007 of April. Their tendons shatter the traps. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, excuse me. The tendons and ligaments are crushed. Excuse me. Okay, wait. Move on. And they were died in slow acknowledged death. A trapped animal often suffers for days before death. I've never heard about many barbaric practices, and the Travis by Southfly subtly remember the one horrible incident where Alaskan lynx was stuck in the leg hole trap for 6 weeks until Travis check his traps. The lynx was able, next page anyway, to stay alive so long only because another lynx was in his family brought the poor creature food. Wow. On farms and ranches all over the planet, including the United States, animals are kept in the cramped cages and subject to drowning, neck wrenching, poison gas. Wow. Ingestion and required caution. I try to focus attention on those barbaric practices on wherever I can. I have said that the fur industry is one of the worst exploitations of animals. Wherever they are trapping animals in the wild or raising them on farms. Despite my glidement, I've really never accomplished conflict with my personal belief during my hosting duties. By 1987, I've been doing beauty pageants for 20 years, and I've always looked forward to doing them. They have become a very pleasant part of my life. And of course, my outcomes like that. I didn't know of it then, but my passion with animal protection was an collision course coming with Steve Wyland. I'll go higher the collision course like that. Anyway, with one of my favorite events, it's some things are going to have to give. The dramatic progression offered it occurred in 1987. In Quarry, New Mexico, site of Miss USA beauty pageant. The pageant producers have awarded the coats as prizes for years. Fur coats were standard fare, and all the pageants. After working on them for a couple of years, however, I was able to research the producers of Miss Universe and the Miss USA pageants. The cease and desist. In 1987, and I was in Quarry, New Mexico, there was a Miss USA pageant, knowing that a fur coat was presented to the winner. I also knew that fur coats will be a thing for the past. As of 1988, I arrived in the quarry on Friday the 13th. You heard me correct. Friday the 13th. Anyway, the show was going to be broadcast on the Tuesday the 17th. Wow. On the first day, I was appalled to learn that it was a swimsuit competition. Semifinals contestants will be coming into stage wearing fur coats over the swimsuits. Swimsuit competition was beyond the winter Wonderland type of set that resembled a northern New Mexico ski lodge, something like that. Anyway, the women were going to stroll on the stage wearing the fur coats and then drop them and model in the swimsuits with the judges. I didn't want to engage in the competition right there on the spot on the rehearsal stage with a crowd of the people watching, but where am I a little bit? Okay, move on. I was immediately troubled. That night I was in a hotel room. I spoke on the phone with my close friend and Chabius associate, Nancy Burnett. Wow. We both agreed I couldn't do the show if we're first were going to be worn and displayed by the contestants. Wow. The passion put me in the position that we would be untenable after speaking at various locations around the country. Arguing people have not to wear furs. It would not have been hypocritical of me to appear in their spurs were used. It will have been destroyed my credibility within the animals' rights movement. I could have let down all the people who have been written on me to lend their support for the cause. For me, the decision that was simple. For the producers of the show, it was more complicated. George Hardcar, the producer of the pageant, was with a friend of mine. It was had thoroughly enjoyed working together on the show. It was in a difficult position because he told me in the news media that furs were part of the contract the pageants had with New York Furrier. Wow. He said the codes were the necessary part of the show because next page anyway. Of this advertising commitments and that and that he depended on my profession not to be break my contract. Excuse me. Okay, anyway. I wasn't competitive and but I was firm. I told him if the contestants were fur coats, I can't participate. Wow, Bob. Anyway, stage with the Battle of Wales was set. We met for an hour and a half on a Monday night, and George listened to me. I listened to him. Nothing was solved. I pleaded with him and arranged for fake furs to be used. Fell back in the negotiations with the sponsors. George had his back up. Ebke ready for this waiting something to fill in. For me, his name was Michael Young. He had been Ebke on the Miss Teen USA pageants. Fortunate to say this, our conversations had leaked to the media. The story of our standoff become national news. It was labeled a fur flop by reporters and editors around the country. Wow. The fur flop was on the front page of newspapers, on the radio, and on national television. Wow. People were reading and heard about this guy who were willing to give up in this job concerned with animals that suffered horribly in the production of fur coats. Our national publicly was the best thing that ever happened in any anti-fur campaign. Wow. The media was having a field day with the standoff. Wow. Now I remember thinking that there was never been more media attention focusing on the animal rights movement than during those few days. I learned later that CBS received 568 telephone calls, okay, supporting me in my promotion, while 8 calls, all from furriers, were received opposition my promotion. Wow. To his credit, George Harcar was scrambled to come up with a solution. One of these things I remember him saying during this dispute was, I'm not looking at throwing Bob's number of years with this event out the window. Wow. Anyway, I also remember that many of the contestants simplified and respected, symbolized something like that, and respected by proportions of the fear codes. Makes sense anyway. We're almost there 200 pages in the book. Anyway. They were careful not to offend the passion. Anyway. But mainly them were animal lovers. And said they were supported by Stan. Finally, at the last hour, George Harcar arranged to use fantastic fake furs. Wow. But it took quite a bit of last minute housing to get them from Agabari department store. We agreed that with the woman who would wear fake mink and ermine furs, the ski lodge number, and I would fulfill my hosting duties, and I would also announce that woman strolling by, all the ladies wearing simplifying furs. I was tremendously happy. I told George that the animal rights group across the country would hail him as a hero. Wow. He said that he had to make the switch because he had no doubt, that that I was going to stick with my promotion. He was right. When he asked by the press how we would handle the furriers, George said, "I'll deal with them later." He also said to me, "This have been a hell of a way to end our association." Yes. Anyway, I agreed it would be that would happen, the terrible way to end our relationship. Sadly, my long, happy fantasy warring relationship with the passions will indeed end the next year. As I know it, the passion producers had agreed to no more first in 1988, but they changed their minds. I was surprised that when I learned that they were going to continue to give away their fur coat, I pleaded to George Harcar once again, please don't put me in the back portion. It was a 12-second plug at the end of the show, and you don't even have to do it. A co-host will. He said, but there was no budging in either of those that year. I promptly resigned as host by quitting. I was throwing a pledge I had. Next page. Anyway, made previous year's controversy. Wow. In truth, it was all sort of anticlimactic compared to the year before. There was no last-minute standoff. There was none of the drama of the year before. Wow. Though my resignation did gain quite a bit of media attention. For flat number 2, Yeez. It was called, and again it was boomed the anti-fair campaign. It was simply the combination of my increased awareness and sensitivity to animal rights issues. Yeez. I was bitter, but I've done the passion for 21 years. Certainly, with some sadness, it was a matter of principle for me, a matter of business and passion. The Miss USA official said that here, I spent my moral commitment, but there was a business decision. They have a long relationship with the sponsors and advertisers, but they didn't want to change that. My mother couldn't believe it. She was baffled the passions. They would rather lose me as a host than drop her fur coats. It's a prize. Dear old mom, I'm glad I can help raise awareness of animal cruelty as a production of the fur coat products. Exactly. As I'm glad that fur fashion at decline fashion waste like that in this country and around the planet. Of course, I continue to be active and vocal about animal rights issues long after those beauty passion days, but I think that those 2 years were crucial moments in terms of raising public awareness. I realized that resigning from those passions would be a sacrifice. Wow. But I really have no choice. This factual loss is in no way compress the importance of the issue with me. The year I resigned, I was asked by Paul's group to pick it outside the passions, but I did not want to do that. What concerns me, the possibility that I wanted to be precise as visible, involved in the feud with the officials of the passions. What simply was not true. I did not want something that I saw as a positive to come out of the negative. In November of '88, I led the first of 2 protest marches down Fifth Avenue. Wow. In New York. About 2,000 animal rights activists, Nancy Bryan of United Activists for Animal Rights, marched right there beside me. The marches went held on Fur Free Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving, which is a traditional kickoff day for holiday shopping. None of it held on Fridays near the Thanksgiving holiday. These marches and protests took place all across the country, from New York to Beverly Hills. They were huge. It was huge, drawing attention to fur boycotts. Wow. Our rallies that were successfully on our wildest suspicions the nationwide protests got tremendous media attention. The rallies I attended were organized by Trans Species Unlimited, and its director Steve Seagal called me the most vocal spokesman for the anti-fair moment in the planet. Wow. Steve may have excited a bit, but I like it. There are signs like that read shame, vanity, first murder. Wow. Okay. And if you don't buy them, they won't kill them. They won't kill them. Excuse me. Okay. Anyway. The protesters picketed in front of the department store and heckled customers wearing their fur coats. There was some heated exchange. By 1989, there were rallies and protests in over 90 cities across the country. On Free Friday. There was also coffins filled with furs, and there were coats splashed with red paint to symbolize blood, and there were demonstrations in front of department stores, and from Boston to Denver, and from next page, last page on that part, and it will be done. Anyway, New York and Pennsylvania to Orange County, California. Wow, people were simplified leg traps. The people behind the cause were and are a very passionate group. They carry tape recorders, broadcasting their cries of wanted animals. In Europe, I recall the activities spit on people who were fur coats. Wow. Excuse me. It was a turning point, no question. Anyway, over 120 different animal rights groups participated. Participated in the marches around the country. While we focus on fur, yeah. Anyway, the marches and demonstrations were drawing attention to animal cruelty at many levels. Including the cropping of seals, mistreatment of animal poverty, and the horrors conducted in the name of medical research. The anti-fur movement is dear to my heart, and my protests and have a ripple effect all across animal rights issues. As the movement grew and I participated in the marches, I received stacks of mail. We were making a difference. Fur sales dropped. People stopped buying them. We wanted to make people feel embarrassed and horrified to be seen wearing fur. And we succeed. Succeed. Thank you. My association with the beauty passions were the positive one, though it could be the end because of my concern for animals. That does not mean that we do not love the experience with the passions. I travel over the planet. I work with wonderfully dedicated professionals and beautiful young ladies from many countries across the planet. It was a pleasure and honor being involved in Miss USA and Miss Universe for so many years. So that was chapter 11 of the book. And it's gonna be it for now. So we did have 12th chapter of the book, and that will be some Happy Gilmore for you. That will be it for book reviews, episode number 33. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one's gonna be chapter 12 of the Bob Barker book. But first, there will be a brand new episode of Lunchtime, because I haven't done uploading any more videos like this on my main channel during this difficult time, this hurricane season. Till next time, Sue Jefferson Bob, so baby, we get more videos, but so to say out. See ya.